All right, everybody, we are here today with superstars in our industry, and I'm really happy to talk to them this afternoon. Mike has been on our show. Mike Lubin's been on our show, on my show rather, many times. We have Phil Acha and we have Jessica Cohen joining us today. And again, I'm thrilled because when you work in the industry that we work in, it's very complicated, it's very difficult, it takes a lot of hours, as Jessica and I were just talking. We often say, where do I have time to breathe, let alone sleep or eat or whatever? But it's all good. That's why we do what we do. I want, though, for you to, we'll start with just telling us a little bit about who you are and how you have found your enormous success. Because my audience out there loves hearing from successful people.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'll start.
You're all going to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been a matter of just loving people. Like, I love getting to know people. And I think that this is a business of really, you're sort of in their business. You're trying to get to know what makes them tick, a little bit about their lifestyle. Why are they moving? Why are they coming or going? And I think that just this sort of like love of wanting to know all those details has made a connection for me between people, something that's lasted a long time.
It's interesting how you say details because it's very true. Details really kind of find a way of connecting us to people. I spent 20 years in corporate America before I came into real estate, and I thought I was a salesperson, starting at IBM and then whatever else. And I thought I was in a people business.
No.
When I came into real estate, I realized, oh boy, are you in a people business? Okay, absolutely 100%. But I agree with you. It's that connection that keeps us solid and keeps us engaged. By the way, the people that we work with want to feel the same thing back with us, right? I call it the T word, trust, right? We have to gain their trust, earn their trust, because that's how we're going to get them to come back and to believe in us and to refer us. Phil, tell us a little bit about you, your story, how you found success, and why you keep doing this.
Well, thank you for having me. So my story is born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My grandmother was a real estate broker, so it was a tangible thing to me. Like my mom was a single parent, so as a child, I was going to open houses at 5, 6 years old, just because that's just the way it was, you know.
We all love open houses.
Yeah, well, yeah, so
the king of open houses.
So it was always like a tangible thing to me, you know what I mean? Like, so right out of college, it's what I did, right? It's the only thing I did. It wasn't like a fallback career for me. So it's like kind of out of the gate running, like I was in real estate. I knew that there was success in it. I kind of knew, again, it wasn't a secondary career. In terms of, just to kind of piggyback on what Jessica said, having your clients trust during like the good, the bad, the ugly is everything. Like when somebody's purchasing a home, or selling a home, it's not always because, oh my God, we just got married and we have this down payment. Gosh, the amount of, again, I've been doing this licensed since 2006. You meet people at the worst times in their life, whether they're going through deaths or divorce or, they lost jobs. So to be able to be there as a confidant and a kind of a real trusted trustee and knowing that you're going to guide them in the right direction and also willing to talk to them when there's not a dollar sign or a deal at the end of it. Right. When there's not a dollar sign or a deal at the end of it, just to say, hey, I need experience. What's going on?
That's the difference between, and I've talked about this on my show many times, that's the difference between transactional agent and agent who cares and who's not only interested in the deal. We talked about that on the show many times because that's how you have to be. Mike, the Mike Lubin.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. You know how much we love you so much.
We love you on our show, and I love you personally. But tell us a little bit about your success, who you are, how long you've been doing this, and why it remains, I'm going to use the word gift, I think for all of us. It's sort of a gift, right, for all of us. Why it's a gift for you and how you stay focused on that continuing success.
I think what would be true for all of us is that we work hard and we say yes. We make ourselves available because it's hard to find the balance between personal and work time in this career because there's very little division, and especially if you're a parent and you're a parent of 3, you're a parent of 1? 2.
Yeah.
I only have 1, so I have nothing to complain about. And he's 23, even though I feel like he's 23 going on 12, but that's for another
23
show.
already?
Yes. But saying yes, showing up, having a positive attitude. There's so many negative forces that could potentially impact everything. And our job is to try to make things happen, which requires like a really positive attitude. I'm from LA, moved to New York. I'm one of the few people that made that move versus the other. And I was in entertainment. I was a talent agent for 13 years. So film and theater and TV at William Morris. So that really honed my skills in the therapy aspect of client representation, because our clients, whether they're buying or selling, are vulnerable and scared. And look what's going on in the world. There's so many things that are so chaotic, confusing. They need a grounding, calming force in our lives. Well, and I think that's what we can offer.
I agree. And also, well, like you're saying, there's so many factors going on in the world right now, right? And a lot of noise. And real estate is such a big asset that they have. And they're wondering, what's happening to this? You know what I mean? Like, now we're not even talking like, should I sell? What do I buy? Like, what's going on? You know, so being able to, first of all, like if this is your career, you should know what's going on, right? You know what I mean? You should always kind of just be on top of, and any buyer or seller can go look at numbers, but you should know, be able to speak to them on a normal level, on a personal level, to kind of give them a little bit of insight. They're coming to you to look for some kind of guidance or just some kind of comfort, and also being able to tell them when things are bad.
It's more than just a guidance, you're right. It's a comfort. Yes. They want to feel like you are part of.
You're their expert.
I use the word family, right? There are times when you're working with people that, don't you agree that they kind of feel like your family?
Very much so.
That you take them into your fold, they take you into theirs. And I believe, as all of you have said, that makes the communication
absolutely
and that level of comfort so much easier.
I think also they're looking to us to interpret things and to clear out the noise.
Very much so.
Because there's a lot of messages, right?
Yeah.
And they just want us to translate for them what they're. And so the most important thing in having longevity in this business is that you're not out there just speaking. You want to really learn. And if you don't know something, it's better to stop, learn, and step back and come back to them with some information, some answers, and let them know, look, I'm going to find out for you. I'm not sure, but.
Right. Well, that's how you gain longevity is,
information is key.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a buyer or a seller, for us to be able to have that knowledge, to give back to them, information is key. And I find that agents who are not really successful are those who are rushing through deals, are really transactionally oriented, and they don't take the time to be that expert and that knowledgeable source, right? I think you all do that in spades, but you've got to be able to make your client, whether it's a buyer or a seller, and sometimes sellers can be a handful as well, and we've got to be able to calm them and make them understand why things are happening, what the dynamic of the moment is. And by the way, as you all know, markets change constantly. And we just don't know where we're going to be. And that's my next question. So there was an article written by Fred Peters, we all know who Fred Peters is, I think end of last year, where he called our market a tornado market, okay? High winds blowing all over the place, people don't know where one end is up, who's falling down, who's not knowing what to do. Oh, I think I'll take a pass. Now, I had a show yesterday, and a lot of my agents were telling me that they feel like the market is sustaining a little bit, is stabilizing a little bit. Do you guys feel the same way? Do you see stabilization, Mike, in your business at the moment, based on where we've come from?
Yes, I'm very grateful. I think part of it is because the world is so chaotic right now that people are seeking comfort in home, and they're also seeking an investment vehicle that feels safe to them and tangible. So I think we're seeing some people taking money out of the market and committing to a home, and appreciating how important it is, whether it's a studio or your dream home, whatever that is, to be able to turn that into your safe sanctuary in your environment. I think people are really craving that today. And also interest rates coming down a little bit. There are just a few things that are aligning that I think are getting people to activate.
But I think based on what you said, and I 100% agree, one of the guests on my show yesterday made it a little more personal, saying that, when you're buying real estate in New York, it's a personal choice, it's a lifestyle choice. You're buying a home because you want to own a home, you want to be in your home, you want to live in New York City, and I agree with what you said.
When we first started Excel Real Property Management 11 years ago, we did so with the intention of protecting the investment community. Here at XL Real Property Management, we focus specifically on serving the needs of individual apartments, townhouse, and small multifamily building owners both in Manhattan and select neighborhoods of Brooklyn. Our services encompass everything: rent collection, expense payment, handling maintenance and repair, turnover between tenants, insurance needs. Literally anything that an investor would typically handle him or herself, we take care of for them. Whether you hold one individual apartment or a rental building that houses 20 units, XL is here to help with all of your specific needs.
Do you have a big move coming up? I'm Scott Nadler with Cross Country Mortgage, and I've got the loan to match your dream home. Whether it's your first or your fifth, I'll make the process quick and easy. Call me today. Let's make it happen.
So if we can get people to understand that, get away from the noise, forget the interest rate of the moment, forget, whatever, that's when I believe people will focus on actually making a transaction work. Do you agree with that, or do you not agree with that?
I do agree with that, but also, that being said, like sometimes when, I think tornado is a bit of an aggressive word, when
I was reading it, I thought, whoa, okay, this is very aggressive. But,
right.
But the point is there, though.
There's just a lot of more moving parts globally right now, and unfortunately, like a lot of people can make unnecessary noise. Through whatever platform, you know what I mean? Social media, people can make as much noise as they want.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to reel things in, and maybe it's not the right time for your buyer, right? But again, being able to talk to them on that level, and them being able to confide in you, knowing that you're not looking at them as a dollar sign, So luckily, we all work in markets in New York City where things are always happening, right? So there's always movement, there's always shifting. So as brokers, agents, and we've all been in the business a long time, having to change hats, and again, being able to provide knowledge to our trusted clients, and our clients entrusting us is number one,
Jessica, do you feel like the noise that's out there, for the last year or so is interfering with people wanting to make legitimate real estate purchases, and they're kind of shying away because they don't know where the market's going to go? Or do you think that it's just indicative of our time?
100%. I think the noise is interfering because what we see is like an overwhelming amount of buyers that are coming out at the same time. And then we can experience a week or 2 weeks even where it feels like people are a little recoiled, and then all of a sudden everybody's on top of each other again and we have a bidding war. So it feels like more like a waterfall with a dam. Like, it's like it's getting blocked up. That's and great. Everybody's listening to the same news, everybody's reading the same message, right. But the messages that are out there, they're like old, they're outdated. They're even outdated a couple weeks. So what we see on the front lines is the fallout of people's collective interpretation. What they don't realize is that while other people are buying and are comfortable at the same moment, everybody's jumping in together. So instead of being part of that crowd and having a competitive environment, when everybody's nervous, is a great time to bid. Because the sellers also get nervous if they have a couple of weeks that it doesn't feel busy or they're not getting activity. So it's touch and go, and it's really been week to week, and it's been crazy. The one thing I really do have to say, though, it's made me nervous watching the interest rates go up as a broker and trying to figure out, well, how are people going to afford to buy property in the same, we've always had, I'm doing this also 22 years, and we've had consistent markets, through the seasons. We know when things are moving, when things aren't moving. So what are people going to do? And then all of a sudden, it's like something makes people come to a quarter of an interest point, came down, and we're mobbed. So I think the longer the time passes that people are recoiled, the more the floodgate, the more, and it was very refreshing this spring to see, moments of this huge, it was almost a little bit intimidating as a broker to experience it because we can only sell it to one person and we don't have that much inventory. So if everybody comes at the same time and then everybody recoils at the same time, I don't know, we kind of feel it. I don't know how you guys feel, but I mean, I don't like that experience either.
Yeah.
It's like an emotional roller
I always
coaster.
want
You know?
everyone to be happy, which is
You
like
me
the
too.
worst flaw.
Yeah.
Total people pleaser. I want everybody to be
Yeah.
happy.
Good luck making that happen.
Yeah.
That goes along with, who we are as professionals to make everybody that we deal with happy. I'm not so sure I can define our market as either a seller's market or a buyer's market, but I will say though that I believe personally it's a great time to buy.
Yes.
It really is a very good time to buy, because when you're kind of in a flat market, for lack of a better word, there's flexibility. There's flexibility on the seller side. There's a little more negotiation on the buy side. So if you really want something and you settle all the noise and you put that all aside and you say, I want to buy an apartment because I want to buy an apartment, I'm going to make it happen. Value is there today and value will be there tomorrow. You agree?
Because it's nice to feel respected as a buyer. Buyers could get so beat up in New York
Yes.
for so long, and have been the seller's market, and you've got to do backflips. To feel like a buyer who has been working hard, or has a nice package, financial package, and reference letter, just to get the respect that you deserve and to be appreciated, feels good.
It does feel good. It feels really good. I have to tell you something. In all the years that I've been in sales, starting in corporate America, I used to feel good when I sold a $9 million system to a corporate CEO or a CFO who signed that check, whatever. But not anywhere close to how I feel today based on what you just said. When I sell a home to a buyer, whether it's $800,000,
Yep.
$2 million, whatever the number is, that's like a personal accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
For them and for you, because you make them feel better. I don't care about the $9 million CPU. They don't even exist anymore. They're gone. They're boat anchors,
What
right?
people don't realize is that it's not about the money.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it actually is about someone selling their home, someone buying their dream home. Like, the numbers kind of work out.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you find. Well, me
Right?
personally, I find a lot of times like smaller deals are more rewarding
Yes.
because they're so much more personal. Like when it's a family
Very
that like
much
this
so.
is like. They're trusting you with, they're putting all their eggs in this basket, as opposed to something transitional where it's like, I can spend 5, I can spend 7, I can wire transfer, when it's really, like I said, I'm a father of 3. When we bought our home, it was emotional. Like I was on the other side, I was like, oh my God, like this is, like it was nervous, it was emotional. It was like, my kids are gonna grow up here, and it's not a huge, so deals like that are super meaningful to me.
Point,
Yes.
I want to say something that I think that owning is going to become more of the American dream again. I think that
Yes.
we've had a good run
Yes.
where interest rates were so low that almost anybody could own,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's becoming something to reach for now. It's going to be a little bit harder to attain. So I think it's going to become more of an aspiration to be a homeowner, especially in New York City, but like anywhere. I mean,
And
It's
the
more
challenge that
meaningful.
goes with it makes it
Yeah.
even more rewarding because it is challenging.
Yeah. That's
right.
In any market, right? But in a tougher market, and you can achieve. I agree with you. And you can achieve that goal of home ownership. It lands better. You feel better, and you feel like you're accomplished. Proud of what you've just done. You mentioned something, but you're father of 3 children. So, question to you: is there, or do you see a lot of parents involving in buying for children, helping children these days, or has that kind of subsided a little bit because of the noise?
Well, I think, okay, so a lot of times when you see a lot of parents buying for children, me personally, I saw that when foreign investment was huge. Like a lot of
Yeah.
foreign
Yeah.
buyers will buy for
College
their
students and
yes,
stuff.
correct.
Yeah.
So in terms, parents are always willing to help their children out, but I think, in New York City, we're not selling to 25-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like the rest of the market, the rest of the world, people are buying their first home probably like under 30 years old. Like we're selling to adults. So if you're 45 years old and you need a down payment from mom, you're probably not in this market,
I mean, not only that, in other markets, 25 years old, you might be starting a family.
Right,
And in
exactly.
New
You're
York,
married,
People
you're-
aren't starting. Right?
Yeah, it's
So they're just entrenched in their career here, and they may be starting a family like 7 to 10 years later than everywhere else.
Right. So I think like when foreign investment dries up a little bit, that's the majority of parents I see purchasing for children, in New York City.
I see some difference. I see a little different.
Okay.
I see parents who feel a need to support their children who got a job in New York after college, and they realize that the rents, or even trying to put together a share situation with friends, is absolutely so far-fetched from the rental numbers right now, and they start to toy with, well, if I could just get them a little something to give them a start. And so I see some of that. I do.
I mean, that's
with cash. They have cash.
Yeah, yes.
They're taking it from retirement, although maybe at this moment in time, with the stock market being as volatile as it is, they may be a little bit less. I mean, we still need to see, because some of these changes with tariffs and everything that's going on with the markets, it's new, right? But before this happened, I was seeing them take money and saying, like, okay, I'll own an apartment instead.
Absolutely, and that's what we counted on. And I was going to ask, Mike, so based on what Jess just said, a lot of people lost some money, in the markets over the last month or so, recuperating and hopefully recovering and coming back. But in the meantime, did that stall the all-cash buyer? Because as we say in our business, cash is king. All cash out there, especially certain clip levels. Did that slow down that market? I know you play in that market. Did that slow it down a little bit, or did it not?
It's interesting. I just did a deal where in Brooklyn, and unbeknownst to us, fortunately I had a cash buyer, but the building would never have been approved by a bank, and it ended up that they needed a cash buyer. So I think it's because of all the noise, sellers are looking for ease of transaction, and may even leave some money on the table if someone is going to be an easy, quick, transaction time. So I do think almost more than ever, I'm feeling that a cash buyer really does have that much more power. And I'm finding banks, I'm sorry to offend any of my banking friends, but harder to deal with and saying no a lot. They don't want to lend.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. The banks are feeling really conservative right now.
They're getting a little more
For a long
concerned
time,
than
I
ever.
felt like they were throwing money. I mean, it's not that way. It is hard to get. It's harder to get a mortgage.
But Mike, to that point, change in banks, when they do lend, when they do get a client, boy, do they come through quickly now. You're getting your loan commitments very fast.
You're 100% right. They want to close it.
They have so much attention on the buyer now.
I've noticed that. That's very true.
Very different time frames.
So true.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business, and it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.
You have to really be buttoned up right now. Like, you have to have your ducks in a row, or the market will move on.
And I think that's a good analogy. You've got to be buttoned up, because I think you have to be buttoned up all the way around.
Yes.
You've got to decide you want to buy. You have to be focused on it. You have to be motivated to get out there and work with your agent to get it done.
Yes.
And get the right financing for you, or if it's cash, whatever it is. It's got to work seamless, because there's so many things, I think more so than ever in our business, that can be in the way. But if you kind of do this and just move forward, I think we could all be successful.
The nice thing about buying, though, is you have a place to live.
Well, that's it too.
And when you're renting, we're seeing rental buildings even that are converting to condo. People are getting bumped. They're feeling really overwhelmed and stressed, having to change up their life situation, not by choice, but by obligation. They have no choice.
Absolutely.
So people are seeking stability, and I think that why not invest in where you're going to live and make it your home over...
And improve the value. You're amazing. You have an incredible history of buying homes and fixing them.
I do a lot, yeah.
Which is...
Love it.
Not many people do it. Like, we all fantasize about it, but you're a legend in many ways.
Oh, my God.
No,
We have all legends here. So, we only have a few minutes left. Let me ask, I'm so stuck on the word memorable these days. I teach my students in continuing ed class. I write about it, and I talk about it as much as I can, because I feel like we're on this earth for a very short period of time. And while we're here, we try to be as successful as we need to be for our clients, for us. But at the end of the day, in the morning, I say to myself every day, how are you going to end this day memorable? What are you going to do in that day to be memorable?
Oh, so good.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
And
It's
Mike, I really stick to that. And, some days you come home and you're like, well, it didn't really work out for me today. But I will tell you, more days than not works out. So quickly, in your mind, how do you feel like you can leave your mark at the end of every, people say to me, I have to be memorable every day. Yes. How do you leave your mark? And what do you think about when I use the word memorable?
An unexpected act of kindness. Do something simple that is going to make someone's day better.
There you go.
A better
And that
tip.
make people remember you for that act of kindness.
And just like the littlest thing, bringing fresh flowers to your listing when the seller didn't expect it. A really good tip for a taxi driver who got you out of traffic. The simplest, subtlest things can sometimes make a huge difference.
Phil.
Okay, so to make my days memorable is, so I kind of compartmentalize my life in like a few categories, right? Like there's professional, there's family, and obviously a lot of times they clash, right? So like doing memorable things at work is mostly just kind of staying as focused as possible, especially in markets like this, and kind of back to basics. Reaching out to clients, not looking for something, you know what I mean? Reaching out to them. It's very easy to stay in touch nowadays through, social medias or any of those, but staying in touch with them, again, and not asking something real estate related. Hey, how are you?
Absolutely.
Just checking in, just following up. Or I saw this, that's awesome, that looked beautiful. With my kids, we do a lot of like memorable stuff every day, especially as the seasons change. Thank God, my oldest will be 8 tomorrow. My daughter's 6 and my youngest guy's 3.
Oh.
So as the
That's a family, man.
yeah,
Guys are busy.
yeah. So
That's a
as the
family.
days get longer and
You
nicer,
deserve to be memorable at the end of the day for that one.
as the days get longer, it's our time. One of my favorite parts of every day, and hopefully my wife doesn't see this because I make it seem like it's a chore, is I'll do pickup. Like when they get out of after school, because seeing like when they all run and drop off is not as rewarding as pickup, and picking up and going somewhere, like a little surprise here and there, like we're not going home, we're gonna go get ice cream, or we're gonna go hit a playground for 20, 30 minutes. And if memories don't all have to be good, right? If I had a bad memorable day at work, it takes me out of that zone and shifts gears to that reality.
Exactly. Jessica, you get to close this out.
Okay, so on the tails of what you both said, I have to say, I think that giving more than I take is just that little extra, and it's kind of a little bit of what you're both saying about business, about just a taxi cab or showing up for pickup for my kids, even just reading an extra story at night to my kids, being there. But I feel like, it's very cliche, but as a broker, I think that they think that we're just swimming in money and taking, and I think that what makes us successful really in this industry is that we love the giving. It's not the taking that we're so drawn to, it's the giving. And I think that loving giving is and the reward of feeling somebody else feel good is what maybe our industry is a little bit, they don't realize, and maybe the wrong message is out there, that people really, really make it in this business. Get a real kick out of feeling like they've made somebody else feel good. That's, I think, what separates, I have a team. When you look for team members and when you're hiring people, I really look for people that love to give and that really feel good when they're sharing. I think that's who we are, really.
Yeah, so true.
That's who we are.
Just have empathy.
Who we should be. Exactly. I totally agree with you.
And if we're not, we don't survive. It doesn't last long.
No.
100%. I don't even know where to begin saying thank you to you guys. Mike, Phil, Jessica, nice to finally meet you.
Can we do this again?
I know.
Yeah.
It was great. Thank you, Rocco. It was awesome.
Yeah. All right, everybody. That's
Thanks
it.
for having
And
us.
we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.